Hello and welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and as always, thanks so much for being here. I truly hope you enjoy the show. Well, I have the pleasure of having two women who have been here as guests with me before, and I hope you enjoy getting to know them again. First off, we have Lauren Yarger. She's a producer and playwright from Gracewell Productions. She's also the co-founder of the Connecticut chapter of the League of Professional Theater Women. And I also have Linny Godfrey. She's the founder and producing director of Essence of Acting, and she is the new president of the League of Professional Theater Women. And ladies, thanks so much for being here today. Such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much.
Linny, why don't we start with you? Why don't you introduce yourself to the viewer? Tell us about yourself.
Well, hello, Connecticut. It's always wonderful to be on this program because I always feel like it's a whole nother community that I'm introducing myself to. I've been in the business for more than 2, 3, 4 decades. That's all I will say. And I've probably done most of everything that one does, probably except being a ventriloquist. At this point in time, I've had the honor of being elected the current president of the League of Professional Theater Women. But Deborah will tell you when I was here before, I was vice president of membership, and it's been such a wonderful pleasure just kind of morphing into this new position and working with Lauren and Mary Miko and all the wonderful women in Connecticut. I look so forward to all that. My background is television and film and Broadway theater, regional, and so I'm just thrilled to be able to come and talk about the League and maybe do a little bit more than that in the program that we're going to talk about.
Linny, did you think growing up that you were going to be a performer? I watched our show yesterday that we did, and it was performing galore. Are you still performing today? What's your life like?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm performing, directing, and producing. So the career, for me, as the career had longevity, there are different areas that you wanted to really enter into, and you have to be practical because you age into other things, and that therefore the roles get more and more narrow. But with singing, you can sing for the rest of your life. And one of the wonderful pleasures that I have is that I've been asked to sing on this program and do two of the, I think, of the most wonderful songs that are inspiring, as Lauren said to me, for women, especially women in the stage of life over 40. And I will probably do that. I started at the church when I was 3 years old, and I'll probably sing until I can't sing anymore. I will always be a thespian. I learned that in college. I really learned that I wanted to be an actress in college. But I knew very young that I wanted to be a performer. I was in love with all the black and white movies, with all the Nicholas brothers and Lena Horne and Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire, all of those musicals. So it's probably all been in my blood. My mother sang, so of course, I probably always wanted to do it.
Okay, let's talk to Lauren now. Lauren, why don't you tell us about yourself? Take us back.
Well, I'm mostly producing now, as you said, for Gracewell Productions. Here in Connecticut, I have 2 reading series that I've been doing. They've been wonderful. One is called Table Readings at the Palace Theater in Waterbury. And just wrapping up, the final one will be on September 8th, is the Staged Intent series at Ivoryton Playhouse. We've had a number of plays and a number of playwrights have an opportunity to have their work appear in front of an audience, which is so important in the development process of when you're a playwright. It's so helpful to have people put voice to your characters and also to have the audience reaction so you can get a feel for what you have at this point in your play. So it's been wonderful. The September 8th reading is called oh gosh, the title has gone right on my head. It's Ron Beverly's wonderful play, Spitting Image is what it is. I've got too many plays going on at the same time. But the Spitting Image, which will feature Chaz Palminteri and Deborah Conbay in this wonderful play about family and forgiveness and kind of what's important and that kind of thing. It's a really moving play. And the table reading series at Waterbury begins again in November, and we'll have Dorothy Lyman, who you may remember from soap operas and All My Children and Mama's Family, the Carol Burnett spinoff show. She has written a new play, and right now is performing it in Scotland at the Edinburgh Festival. So that play she'll bring and be the first offering in the new table reading series in November. So that's keeping me quite busy. On top of the Connecticut chapter, I'm the co-founder, and we have this big event coming up, which is what we're here to talk about today, I think, Deborah, and we're very excited about it.
Well, speaking of that, let's talk about it, because I'm going to run this program for several weeks and let the audience know about it. What is happening on September 23rd?
Well, we are having what we're calling an event called Women of a Certain Stage, with the emphasis being on age, A-G-E, in the stage, to celebrate the accomplishments of women over 40 on stage. It is definitely an area that is a hard area for women to break into theater. You know, women in general don't have enough opportunities on stage and in theater. And when you start to get over 40, like Lenny was saying, you start seeing narrowing of opportunities and you know, roles that are available to you diminish, and it's hard. But there are so many women in that age category who are doing wonderful things. So we wanted to do an event to celebrate that, instead of having an event to moan the fact that, you know, there aren't enough opportunities there. We wanted to say, but when you give us a chance, look what can happen. So we are having there will be 3 one-acts that are being staged that evening in reading form. So we'll have 3 readings of short plays. One I actually wrote, so that's kind of exciting. And then 2 others, one by Susan Cinnamon called The Bardo State, and she's also directing the program for us that evening. And another play called I Know by Jacqueline Reingold, who is one of the founders of Honor Roll, which is another organization that specifically advocates and supports women playwrights over 40. So we have her and a bunch of other organizations who are going to be represented that night. We just have a whole honor roll ourselves of women to honor who are doing things. And this is not, you know, hours and hours of speeches or anything like that, but sort of highlighting, because there's so many of them, the different things that are happening in the state. So we have that. We have Dorothy Lyman will be joining us. She'll be speaking as well as performing in the readings. We have Lenny doing songs, and they're so inspiring and meaningful to the message of the evening. And then following the program, which will be about an hour and 15 minutes tops, we have a reception that will follow, and you can have a chance to mingle and eat some finger foods and meet some people. And it's just going to be a wonderful time. It's our big kickoff, basically, for the new season, which starts in September. And for the chapter, we'll be going into our 8th season.
Now, for the viewer that is watching us now that may be interested in attending, I thought maybe they could go to gracewellproductions.com and send you a message. Your email is there. What's the best way for somebody to get in touch with you to be put on the RSVP list?
Well, for this event, for the September 23rd event, I believe you have a direct link for the Eventbrite page for this event, and that is the way to do it. We definitely want everybody who's involved with theater in Connecticut to want to come to this event. It's a great celebration. It's a great time to mingle with everybody in Connecticut who's working in theater. However, the seats are limited. So not everybody who wants to come may be able to get a seat. So that's the best way, is to go directly to that link and reserve a seat there.
Now, Lenny, you are newly appointed the president of the League of Professional Theater Women. What happened to get you there, and how is it going?
Well, I'm only there now about 6 and 8 weeks, and I was privileged enough to be vice president of membership. So I was introduced to a lot of the procedure by the 2 co-presidents who preceded me, and that was an advantage. Also, being the vice president of membership allowed me to talk to the members, and so what I am is a voice for the membership. To make sure that they are a component as we move forward into finding our ways into this whole community of women, of organizations that are advocating for women. You asked me how is it going? It's going one day at a time. I mean, you know, I am doing things like this, and I'm loving it. I'm talking to members. I'm answering emails. I am involved in certain events. So it's a lot of activity, along with my own career that has, you know, performance and a podcast and all those other things that is happening. So I'm just so honored to have people to think that I have the ability to be in a position to have a little voice in how this particular organization, which is an organization that is working to make sure that women have a place, an equal place in the theater. And it's very, very difficult. And particularly in this group that we're talking about, women over 40. The women over 40 have so much more to give, but the advantages or the availability of roles kind of shrinks down. So you have to be persistent and, you know, constantly working on making yourself visible and letting people know. And I agree with Lauren, if you see this, they have made an opportunity for all of us who are over 40 to be able to show people what we can do. It's not just that we're waiting for it. Thank goodness Gracewell Productions has created an opportunity so that we do. And we hope that the more production companies like that really proceed in that way. And the League, of course, is so happy to partner with someone like Honor Roll, and I am an ally of Honor Roll myself as a producer and a director. So all of these particular organizations will gather together. And as president, I am so honored to be a part of it, to be able to speak a little bit and sing a little bit and move it forward. So that's my story.
I love it. It's wonderful.
Sticking to it.
But people will say, you know, the League of Professional Theater Women that you're a president of and the Connecticut chapter, are you part of New York?
We are one chapter altogether. I am the president that represents all of that. I really believe that the Connecticut chapter is such a fabulous, it's a fabulous chapter that has explored how to go through Connecticut and join all the people who are in the theater community. And it's a wonderful example. New York was the flagship community that, the flagship chapter, let me just say, that what was created 40 years ago by women in a time when there were not all these organizations, where there are only a couple of organizations that advocated for the equality of women in the theatrical workplace. So we are still holding on to that, but we are welcome to bring all different kinds of opportunities throughout the country. And that's why we advocate to have a hybrid so that women in California, New Mexico can also see some of the events that we are doing.
Okay, ladies, let's hold that thought. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You are tuned into Arts and Entertainment. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Better Business Bureau has received thousands of complaints related to travel insurance. Many don't realize that it doesn't typically cover the cancellation of a trip out of fear of traveling or concerning travel advisories unless you purchase a policy that includes cancel for any reason coverage. And even then, certain things are listed as exclusions. So you must read the fine print. Before purchasing travel insurance, consider that travel insurance is intended to help with unexpected events, not things like forecasted hurricanes. Once an event is a known event, meaning it's been forecasted or anticipated, it may not be considered a covered reason for cancellation if a traveler books a trip after that date. Before purchasing a policy or trying to file a claim, read the specifics on what the policy does and doesn't cover. You can find more travel tips at bbb.org/travel.
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. And again, as always, thanks so much for being here. My conversation continues on with Lauren Yarger and Linny Godfrey. And Lauren and Linny, why don't we take a moment and talk about your websites? Lauren, what will they find when they go to gracewellproductions.com?
There's a tab that you can click on there for the latest news, and that gives all of the information about the various reading series or other events that are happening with Gracewell. There are other tabs as well where they can find some of my writing. I'm a theater reviewer, and so a number of the reviews are available by clicking there. And the plays that I've written, there's information about them. So pretty much that's the one point site for anybody who wants to know about anything that I'm involved with usually.
Now, you're a co-founder of the League, Connecticut chapter of the League of Professional Theater Women. How does somebody become involved with the League? How do they apply for membership?
Usually they just contact us. Here in Connecticut. It's different. If you're in New York, it works a little differently for each of the places. But in Connecticut, someone will contact us, or we'll meet someone at one of our events and they'll say, oh, how do I apply? We send an application, and there are certain things that you fill in on the application form. And then usually we require a resume and recommendations. In Connecticut, it works a little different again from the recommendations in New York, that kind of thing. But it's basically a process that a lot of the people who apply in Connecticut, we do know. The Connecticut theater community is large, but it's also small. So we do have a feeling for who people are. We've known people or we've met them. And so it's a lot easier. If we don't know you at all, it just takes a little bit longer for us to get to know you. And then there's a process there's a full membership in the chapter and an associate membership. So an associate is for someone who is just beginning in the career phase and really doesn't have years of experience. Usually it's 1 to 3 years as an associate, and then a full member is beyond that, anywhere after 3 to 5 years or more, depending on where you are in your career path. And then we have a steering committee that reviews the applications, and you are hopefully approved.
That's wonderful. Linny, why don't we talk to you about your website? I have linnygodfrey.com. What would the viewer find when they go there?
Well, I think they'll find an array of things that I've done over the years as a person who participates in the arts. You will find that there's a Broadway career, there's a television career, there's a movie career, there's a podcast career. There are a lot of things. So there are a lot of tabs, as Lauren said, for you to click on to find out. There's a section of my directing. I've been directing since college. My mentor, Lloyd Richards, was the first Black director on Broadway. He directed Raising the Sun, so I studied with him in college. And then I kind of stepped back from that and didn't do that in full force for many, many years. And now I do that along with the performance, and the difference performances is as an actress, as a singer, then there's the directing part of it, then there's the podcast that has over 100 episodes, then an advocate of education for young children, having it being the arts and all of those things. So it's a lot of things, and I've written a book and I've had some CDs, so all of those things are there. So it's a lot.
Oh my goodness, it is a lot. That's wonderful. Ladies, you are both part of an organization that I have great respect for. Do you recommend to someone who is pursuing the entertainment career or theater, just in general, to network in an organization? Is it the right thing to do?
Lauren, may I?
Either of you to answer that. That would be fine.
Okay. My recommendation, if you are talking to somebody who's just beginning, I think the important thing is for you to get involved in a group in the initial level. Understand that you need to have experience before you get into organizations that we're talking about. So you need to take the initiative, find out from Actors Access, from newspapers, what are the organizations that someone who is new to the business can join and learn that communication, those communications and network skills at that level. And as your experience then increases, you are ready to be in the atmosphere of these women who have been in the business for decades. And who you can learn from, and they can learn from you, because as we sit back and have been doing things for a long time, younger people are really aware of the new things that happen. So it's a reciprocal kind of thing, but we want you to be ready for what you have to come into.
But something like this event on September 23rd, for instance, is not joining the organization. That is open to anyone. So you can come and it's free. I mean, where else can you go to a theater like the Westport Country Playhouse for a free afternoon of theater and get to meet some of these folks? I mean, that's a great way to kind of, figure out who's who in your area, in the industry, without having to come to the point of commitment that you want to become a member of the organization. We have most of our events are open to anyone, so it's a good way to meet people and find out what's going on.
The September 23rd event, do you recommend to the audience that they should come and sit there and see what is happening? Will it be an opportunity for them to understand more aspects of theater? Again, open to either ladies.
Certainly theater, that is involving women in Connecticut, that in this particular age group, they'll have an idea. They'll get a good feel, I think, for how much there really is going on. I think it will be entertaining, even if you're not interested in women over 40. I think you can come and really enjoy this particular show that we're putting on. But it'll also be very interesting to anyone who might be surprised that so much is really happening for that age group.
And I also, if I may, think that the reception afterwards, it's going to be a wonderful opportunity for you to come and talk to people who have performed there, to get a feel of what their lives are like, and what, that one-on-one conversation of talking to someone in the business that you might be interested in, whether you want to pursue it as an avocation or not. The opportunity to be able to have that conversation is rare for those of us who perform, because usually there's a stage or a screen in between us. So now, you'll be able to really talk to us and see how we feel about things also.
Okay, let's talk about the 2023-2024 calendar. Linny, what do you have coming up? Is there anything of interest?
Oh my goodness. Now, are you talking about Lenny Godfrey, or are you talking about the League? Because I have to be very, very specific.
Oh my goodness, that's right. We have both of them. You can talk about either or.
Well, let's talk about the League first. I think the League has a wonderful event that's coming up in October called the Gilbert. It's an international theater awards event that really honors a person that they have really vetted that has contributed to the theater from an international point of view. And that will be a 5-day festival it will happen all the way out through New York. As far as the rest of the season, we have wonderful programs like the Oral History that invites people who have had wonderful histories in the theater and television and film, and they have an opportunity to be questioned, and it's usually done at Lincoln Center. Then we have, of course, you have your, I'm like Lauren now, the seminars, the professional theater. Just as I'm about to say it, the word goes out of my head. The professional seminar, and the last one we had was a professional seminar on disabilities, which was absolutely, it was headed by Gwen McDonald, and she was absolutely fabulous about it. She is an active person, and she is in, what university? Princeton. I believe she works out of Princeton University. So that's just the beginning, and then we'll probably have a town hall in December. Now that's the League. Getting that out of the way. Lenny Godfrey, has, because I'm artistic director of a theater, I have a theater that we are going to have a reading this season. We had one in the spring of a new piece. We always look for new pieces from artists, and I would love for people to submit anything to my website if they think it's a piece that could really, that has not had any exposure, and that we can discuss and help you with in a dramaturgic kind of way. That goes on as well as my podcast every week. I've had several engagements of concerts that are coming up in the fall and in the spring, so that's going on too. So I'm going to be a busy little bee, I think.
Okay, we are starting to run out of time. Lauren, why don't you talk about what is happening in 2023-2024 for the chapter?
Well, 2023 is going to be a
Well, this is our big event, obviously, on the 23rd. It's the kickoff, and then we will continue with. We have a series of lunches that we do. We've been doing them almost monthly now, and we go around the state to different locations because we're such a big geographical area that it's hard for people to come to one area for something. So we hit different areas around the state. We just had one yesterday in New London that was delightful. We had 19 people who came to lunch at the Thames Yacht Club in New London, and we sat there on the river and on the beach and talked for hours, and everyone went around and introduced herself and gave a little bit of what they do, and it's just staggering. I mean, it's just everyone is the next one. You're thinking, wow, I'm just sitting here with amazing women. These women are just doing so much. And we had two people who kind of had to leave early because they had to go to rehearsals. I mean, people are working, and another connection was made. Someone said, I'm doing a production. I'm looking for someone to cast in this production, and someone else was like, oh, I know who you can talk to. And it's a great connection for people. It takes you out of your little bubble and expands your horizons and opportunities.
Okay, well, ladies, I want to thank you both so much for being here, and we look forward to September 23rd.
Please.
Please, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, Deborah.
Thank you so much for being here. And thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You are tuned in to Arts and Entertainment. Have a super day today. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.